Given that, hello, everyone. Are you ready, Teresita? Are you ready, sir? Ready, John?
I was like, you know, I like this
Okay,
one.
hello. Excuse me.
I'm listening.
Given the importance of the evening on so many different fronts, I would like to start on time and call the meeting of the September board for Shields Township to order. It's October, I'm sorry, October board to order. And we can start with the roll call. I think before we do the roll call, we have to, I need to have a motion, please, to appoint a deputy clerk, because Linnell couldn't make it tonight.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you very much. Mr. Russ is going to be our deputy clerk for this evening. Let's stand for the pledge of allegiance. Oh, maybe
Wait,
we
roll
can do the
call.
roll call first.
Trustee Brown.
Present.
Trustee Kerr.
Present.
Trustee Gosharian.
Present.
Trustee January. Supervisor Maloney.
Here. And now we can stand for the pledge. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Trustee January is here.
Sure, I'm here.
So good. All right, we have, the next agenda item is a motion to approve our minutes. And we don't have the minutes because Linnell isn't here, so we will have to table that for our next meeting. Presentation of cash balances. Cash on hand, in the town fund, we have a total of $1,012,124.32. Phoenix Rising has a total of $43,836.44. Total Road and Bridge Fund has a total of $294,056.58. We have received our last significant tax disbursement for the year, so that's why our balances are looking pretty healthy. All right, motion to approve bills. I'd like, please, a motion to approve our town fund bills in the amount of $38,634.13.
I will make that motion.
Thank you, Heather. And a second, please.
Second.
Moved by Heather Kerr, seconded by Bill Brown. Roll call.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Kerr.
Aye.
Trustee Gosharian.
Aye.
Supervisor Maloney.
Aye. How do we account for the fact that Charles is here, but he wasn't here for the roll call, but he's now here at the meeting?
He'll just make that
Oh,
adjustment.
sorry. I'm sorry. I
He gets to vote too.
my apologies.
I'm blind, it's okay.
Trustee January.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Okay,
I'll take that as a unanimous vote. So.
thank you.
Yes.
Okay, in the road and bridge bills, we're looking for a motion, please, to approve them in the amount of $10,084.68.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Thank you. Moved by January, seconded by Brown.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Kerr.
Aye.
Trustee Gosharian.
Aye.
Trustee January.
Aye.
Supervisor Maloney.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, and then looking, please, for a motion to approve our general assistance expenses in the amount of $1,131.52.
I'll make that motion.
Wait, I just have a quick question, Cynthia, because we don't have any GA this month, so does it matter if the agenda says general or emergency? Because that was actually emergency, not
It's-
general.
that's true.
Just same, you know?
It's all in the same category.
Okay. Thank you.
So,
Sorry, excuse me.
Second.
moved by Gosharian, seconded by Brown. Were we voting?
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Kerr.
Aye.
Trustee Gosharian.
Aye.
Trustee January.
Aye.
Supervisor Maloney.
Aye, thank you. Okay, I'd like to take this occasion to welcome our visitors. We have two people with us tonight from Dickinson Hall. Jill Becker is the new director there, and we're so excited to welcome her and get to know her a little bit. Janet Fryer is the senior advocate, and she has spoken to our group before. So I'd like to turn the mic over to them and have them just do a little presentation for us. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for inviting me to attend this meeting tonight. My name's Jill Becker, and I'm the new manager at Dickinson Hall. I started on June 1st, and I'm coming up with my 5th month there. I am thoroughly enjoying working with the seniors and our wonderful staff. We have a program manager, Nick Fishwall, an administrative and transportation manager, Tara Pertel, a program assistant who helps us with all our programs, named Katie Boyer, and last but not least, Janet Fryer is our full-time senior services advocate, senior advocate. They're a wonderful group of hard-working, creative individuals, and they're so committed to improving and enriching the lives of our members and all the other seniors in our catchment area. So previously, a little background about myself, I was at the Paddy Turner Centre, which is the senior centre for Deerfield, and before that, Glenview Senior Centre, which is where I currently reside. I live in Glenview, so I was there before in a programming capacity. So Deerfield, my job up until I started on June 1st, it was a senior centre very similar to Dickinson Hall, a lovely building with about 800 members. Currently, we at Dickinson Hall have 894 members, predominantly from Lake Forest, Lake Bluff, and Norwood. About just under 100 are from other suburbs like Northbrook, Highland Park, a few from Skokie, and thereabouts. Everyone is welcome to join our centre. We welcome everyone. So, as you probably all know, we have our own bus for excursions, a senior car with drivers who are paid to drive seniors who are no longer able to drive and would otherwise be very isolated in their own homes. So in addition, we're really excited and very grateful that Dial Ride has expanded their service in the Lake Forest area beginning September 1st. Phone calls are trickling in on a weekly basis. People are phoning the senior centre and they're asking about it. But I do want to thank Cynthia Maloney and everyone here for working so hard to bring Dial Ride to Lake Forest for us. It's another great option for those who desperately need reliable transportation options. So Cynthia has championed this service to the 65 plus group and to disabled individuals, and so it now covers, I'm sure you all know here, Lake Forest, Lake Bluff, Norwood, and Cynthia has actually graciously offered to come on November 2nd, which is a Wednesday, November 2nd at 2 o'clock to Dickinson Hall to speak and tell us more about the curb-to-curb transportation option and program details, how to register and how to book rides. So if anyone listening or here wants to come, please phone us at our number 847-234-2209 and tell us if you plan to attend, because we'd love to see you there on November 2nd. I've left them on the table over there, but I brought some of our latest news briefs, so I hope we can leave them here in case anyone visiting can see our November, December, January news brief. It's full of very diverse, vibrant programming and services, and we've attempted, as we always do, to have programs to suit every budget, every time schedule, everyone's interests. So we hope everyone will come to our Dickinson Hall, take a tour, look around, and meet all the young staff that are there. So I was delighted to join Dickinson Hall because of all the unique features. And one of them is having a full-time senior advocate. When I was at Deerfield, we had Margie Fisher, who was the social services director, just 2 days a week. That's all she was there. And I know how much work she did and the volume, the number of people that she served. So I was really excited to be in a place where we had a full-time member of staff wholly supporting and assisting seniors who may be in need, have questions, and their families. So Janet's here tonight to speak as well, but she's at Dickinson Hall Monday through Friday. About 9 o'clock to 4 is her working time, and she's there. So please don't hesitate, anyone who wants any advice at all, we're all there to help. And I think I should stop speaking and hand over to Janet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. So nice to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, back again. I want to thank Shields Township, the board members, Cynthia, for inviting us here today and for your past support of the Dickinson Hall Senior Advocate position. The majority of the geography and the people I serve, that I've served for more than 13 years, fall into Shields Township. In total, I serve approximately 300 people a year, including seniors and those who care for them. Based on census data from 2014, about 14% of Shields Township residents are age 60 or older. Lake Bluff and Lake Forest, and that Shields Township includes North Chicago, parts of North Chicago. Lake Bluff and Lake Forest skew even older, with about 23% in Lake Bluff and 27% 60 or older across the city of Lake Forest. I was really shocked when I saw those numbers. I deal with older adults who have differing levels of independence and abilities. I will mention a few in this talk using false names to protect their privacy. Many of the adults I see are sharp-witted and able-bodied and come to me once or twice a year for Medicare review. I also work with those who have hearing or visual impairments or mobility limitations. For Helga, in her late 80s, who is stubbornly independent despite macular degeneration and hearing loss, I thread the needles she cannot see so that she can mend her clothing under a magnifying machine. I also help her go through her mail and accumulated papers to separate the wheat from the chaff. I call Talking Books to order the titles she selects, as she has chosen not to have a phone due to her hearing loss. I have really tried to get her to get a phone. I make sure she gets to her medical appointments. As her primary care doctor is moving out of the area, I will be helping her find a new physician. My recent push has been to help people find a way to vote by providing forms and assistance to apply for vote-by-mail ballots. I think everyone should have the opportunity to vote regardless of their political leanings. I helped someone vote today. I enjoyed that. Certain clients have severely impaired cognition with dementia creating short-term memory loss, and they will ask the same questions repeatedly. Trudy calls me every time the so-called IRS calls her and says, I know it wasn't really the government, but I just wanted to double check. For these clients, my primary concern is their safety. Are they eating and taking their medications? Are they paying their bills? Do they have transportation? Are they going to the doctor as recommended? And should I accompany them? Are they supported by someone, friends or family or paid helpers? And do these helpers look out for them in a caring and non-exploitative manner? If there are no supports, what kinds of changes can be made to meet their needs? Another type of client has more subtle cognitive impairments. For some, it is judgment that slips away, usually apparent in one or two areas. My client, Peter, in his mid-80s, is having trouble grasping that he really cannot afford caregivers as often as he would like them. Luckily, he does not need care 6 days a week, as he can do many things independently, although he prefers that a helper do things for him. Don't we all? And he gets lonely on the caregiver's day off. I am trying to go over his finances with him and help him construct a budget to make sure he preserves assets for future emergencies. And I am looking into some other options to combat his loneliness. Eleanor, in her 90s, has overpaid for home repairs, again, evidence of poor judgment, and I keep trying to get her to consult with a family member or call me when some potentially expensive home repair comes up. Pat, although capable of writing checks and paying bills, does not open the mail for weeks, which is, I talk to her and she says, oh, I'm just too tired, I don't feel well today, and I encourage her to you have to open your mail, you need to pay your bills on time. And of course, if you don't do that, it can cause problems with the water company and threaten your phone service. As you can tell, I provide in-home and telephone support to help older adults maintain independence. Dickinson Hall offers a low vision support and education group and a home alone group for women living alone. We lend medical equipment on a short-term basis to Lake Forest and Lake Bluff residents. We provide escorted transportation using volunteers for riders who need special consideration. People call me to get referrals for various resources. And right now, through the end of November, a trained volunteer and I are helping Medicare recipients select a 2017 Medicare drug plan to help save money on medications. We helped 75 people last year with that. I also help lower income seniors identify and apply for financial assistance programs from state, local, and federal sources, saving them money on food, Medicare premiums, drug co-pays, property taxes, car registrations, among other expenses. All of my services are offered at no charge to older adults, their families, and disabled individuals. One of the factors that makes my career rich and interesting is the variety of personalities I encounter. Some clients are friendly and appreciative, while others are controlling and demanding. Some, even those I work with frequently, can be standoffish. I have a client who wavers between trust and mistrust, depending on her mood and the topic or the task at hand. I try to respect my clients' personalities and quirks and steer our interactions in a positive and constructive direction. Or I come back another day. Given my long tenure at Dickinson Hall, many in the community know who I am and how I might be able to help. I get referrals from members, and clients come to me through the state insurance program, referrals through hospitals, neighbors, friends, family members, governmental agencies, and police and fire departments. I have learned a great deal in over 13 years serving older adults and guiding their adult children. I still have trouble getting through the door to help someone who denies or cannot see that they need help. And sometimes resources are not available to everyone who needs them. With the support of Shields Township and other donors, I am continuing to serve the community. I am privileged and honored to be able to do so. Thank you for your attention and for your support.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Janet.
you.
Thanks. That's great. Okay, next on the agenda is public comment. Does anyone like to make any comments? Any public members of our group here make comments? Okay, seeing none, then we'll move on. Our agenda item number 10, discussion and action, approval of our resolution setting elected officials' salaries and compensation benefits for the term 2017 to 2021.
Sorry.
What?
No,
No?
just mumbling.
Oh, okay. I came up with a proposal which is based on sort of more of a time spent kind of a thing. And I don't know if this is acceptable. I did email each of the trustees individually with these numbers previously. And I have heard back from only 2 of them, or 3 of them, I guess. I don't know, Bill, what do you think about these numbers? Do you have any opinions? I'd like to maybe...
Can I say something first, Bill?
Sure.
I will not be participating in any of the discussions or the voting on the salary for the supervisors, since I've already announced my candidacy for that position in the upcoming election next year.
I would like to accept that. It's fine. However, it's not necessary for you to recuse yourself in this situation. It's really your obligation to vote as a member of this body. If you choose not to, that's your choice. Okay, anyone else have any discussion or questions? I know,
You were asking Bill.
Bill, did you have any?
No, I
feelings?
mean, do we want to go through this line by line?
Well,
The best way to do that?
my rationale was that the supervisor, these are all like part-time jobs, and really, if I am kind of on the horns of a dilemma, because I do believe that the jobs require attention, a full-time attention. And I know that it is difficult to attract qualified people to run without adequate compensation. I know that people who may not have independent sources of income or other jobs may not be attracted to the option to run for office in our township. But I'm also guided by our levy and the amount of money that we have to work with, and I don't see that we're just limited. We're not able to restore salaries. So based on my analysis of the time spent, I'm thinking of a $300 per diem amount of money for 2 days a week for the supervisor for 50 weeks per year, 1 day a week for the assessor and the highway commissioner at 50 weeks per year, and then an additional $3,900 for attending meetings, with stipend for attending meetings, which wouldn't necessarily fall in, which would be an additional week, an additional day once a month for the meetings. And then I left the town clerk's salary the same, and I included a stipend for trustees of $1,950 per trustee, which represents $150 per meeting for 13 meetings, to cover expenses, babysitters, whatever might happen to be an expense for the trustees, just out of respect for their service and their position, honorarium. This is just, a starting point, and it's a suggestion that I have. I know you probably have other ideas, and I'd like to hear them.
Didn't we leave with Bill? You started with Bill, and we turned away from him twice now.
Well,
Well, he just asked if I wanted to go through it line by line, and
yeah, that's
you
fine.
did.
But before we do that, aren't we supposed to have, just a question, anytime it's about salaries, aren't we supposed to have that in an executive session and bring that out?
No, this has to be an open
This
session.
is for elected officials.
Oh, elected, okay. Yes, mistake. Okay, I got you.
Okay, so
Okay.
Bill, what were you saying?
No, I look at it a little differently. I don't look at it by an hour. These positions are set by statute for the job that is done. I think personally, the way my philosophy is that we're looking at the job as explained and what we deem that position is worth and what we're willing to pay. Whoever is elected is going to spend a different amount of hours and time on that, and I don't feel like using hours or time is the right approach to setting salary. I think to me it's more about we feel the assessor position, for an example, is worth a certain amount of money.
Okay,
However that job is done by whoever is elected,
right.
they get to choose how that job is done. And so I look at it a little differently. I probably have a few different numbers here, but I think I guess my question, Cynthia, is how do we want to go through this? Do we want to go through each position, or is that
We have a budget of $110,000 for elected officials' salaries. $116,000, including the clerk. So that's what we're starting with, $116,000. And I don't see how we can increase it. We also are running a deficit every year. It's been, at the first year, I think it was $175,000 that we spent more than we took in, and we cut into our reserves for the first year by quite a bit. Our deficit going forward this year, I think, is about $40,000, so we've been able to really get a handle on many of those expenses. But I just want you to keep that in mind in this discussion, that we have $116,000, and that's the limit. one way to address we could consider that we wanted to just take the 110 that was the supervisor, the assessor, and the highway commissioner and divide that into 3 parts. Or make it a little bit less than the 3 parts. Instead of 30,000 for the supervisor, make it 35, make the town clerk 6 remaining, move the assessor to 35, the highway commissioner to 35,
Could I?
and eliminate the trustees, because we didn't pay them last time. I mean,
Okay.
it's up to you
I think
guys.
it would help
Well-
if we did this line by line. That would
Yeah,
be a
I
sense
I
of
think we have to,
organization.
Well, what I'd like to see happen is you're now going to your second rationale for what you think the numbers ought to be.
Right.
And I'd like to have everybody have an opportunity to weigh in on this.
Sure.
Rather than coming back to you for your explanations. So Bill left off with, he's got some numbers that he has in mind, and I'd like to circle back and let you finish that thought.
Okay.
If there were some numbers, because.
Sure, I'm just looking at it as much like Cynthia as a starting point.
Okay.
You guys can
Yeah.
think about where my, I think you said 116 is the current
Yes.
budget. I came up with 83,000. That was 30, and this isn't not the correct. All right, for the supervisor is 25, the assessor was 30, the highway commissioner was 25, the clerk was 3, and the trustees would remain at 0.
Okay, that's, right, and Heather, you're not participating in the discussion either?
Are we going line by line?
She's only not participating with respect to the supervisor, so could you weigh in on all the others, if you would?
Well,
please?
we're going to do this line by line per person?
We're not voting
Or
yet.
We're
I
just
know,
talking.
okay.
If you want me to make a motion.
Shortly, yes.
Town clerk, I agree with Bill on the cut to 3,000. The assessor, I agree with Bill at 30. The highway commissioner, I'd like to see down to 20. And the trustees, I'd like to see it stay the same.
Okay, I will suggest all the numbers that Bill Brown has put forward. I concur with that the highway commissioner be 25 rather than 20, and I think that's consistent with the numbers that Heather put forth, with the exception of the highway commissioner. So I'd like to, for lack of a better term, second the numbers that Bill offered.
Charles, do you have anything to
We can
suggest?
certainly discuss this. We can certainly discuss it.
Yeah, Charles, what do
Okay,
you think?
I'm disappointed in you guys' actual numbers. From discussions I've had with other townships I looked into and taken the salaries from 80,000 then to 50,000, and now from 50,000 you want to go to $18,000, which is a 63 to 64% reduction in pay. And like I said before, we have 2, and I would hate to use them as the catalyst behind this, but you're not going to attract anyone that does not have means to do this position when you do things like this. If we have salaries now, and I think they should be more equitable, I would like to see that the salaries be between 30 and 35 for all 3 positions, and the difference being the clerk. And because our clerk is an elected position, not an appointed position, that we also interject or have a assistant clerk that's here to do our minutes and make sure our minutes get done weekly, instead of giving it to someone that may or may not do them, and there's no authoritative purpose that we have over this person. So, in my estimation, I believe that we should not reduce these salaries to what you're saying, because to me they seem a bit not respective of the position. And if we have employees here in the township that make $80,000 as employees, how can we rationalize to say the people that are supposed to be their boss make a third of what they make. That
'Cause
that
those-
doesn't make sense.
Well, I would only respond to that those people who are their boss are the elected officials, and has been described, and in many instances self-described, they are either part-time or figurehead positions. So naturally, you would have a lesser figure for those folks than full-time, everyday staff.
Okay, I'd like to respond to what you said, Rich, about supervisory or figureheads. Regardless of, who's doing the actual work, the responsibility is on the elected official. It is Ms. Blahanka's duty, it is, in this administration, it is Mr. Anderson, it is my duty we're the ones on the line for what happens. The employees are not. And every time I review a general assistance case, or Kelly has to make a decision on something, she'll go to Kathy. Devon will come to me for GA and EA. I have to approve every single thing. I sign every check that pays every bill. The department heads approve every bill that comes in. There is a budget requirement that takes time and effort and energy. So I don't really agree with the idea of reducing, everyone. I don't know. I kind of, my second idea, which is the $110,000 idea, or $116,000 to keep everyone, you have to act as if you expect people to do their jobs. And you do have to attract people who are qualified and and I do think there is an equity issue with people who don't have independent sources of income or other jobs. And there are many times, for example, the lack of benefits in this position. You really have to have another job in order to afford to pay for health insurance and, just to live. So I know I think we've done a good job of containing our costs. I think that, I commend the board for their attention to detail on these things, but I think, I don't know, a cut to 83,000 is pretty radical. That was Bill's suggestion. So we need to agree on something, and I don't want this to be yes.
The only other thought I had, and I guess it's probably because Don's here, is that maybe the clerk is a per diem, is kind of is a monthly, say $300 a meeting, in case there's somebody that does have to fill in or something like that. It could be because it's obviously a little bit of a different position, but that would be obviously the 12 meetings, and I think there's one or two that others.
14 a year. Right?
There's 13 meetings per year.
Because the other one, we picked somebody from the.
Yeah. But let me just say this, that there are other responsibilities that the clerk has as well that require her. For example, the week that the petitions are due, she's supposed to be here every day, full time. And whenever there's an election, there's additional work that's involved with getting ballots distributed and things like that. So there's more than just the meetings.
Yeah. No,
but
So
and that's why I sort of rounded it up.
I'll withdraw that.
But
Thank you, Cynthia, for
okay.
that one.
All right. Yes.
My only other way in on this again is, and I talked with one of the previous board members that's here sitting there in the meeting, I just did not understand. And I do understand at what their thought process was, that maybe the township would be going away. But to look at where we're at today and what needs to be done here, for us to reduce the salaries any more than what they are currently, to me, just shows a lack of instability, because who are we going to attract in the future? And like I'm saying right now, I appreciate the two that we have here, whether they have office hours or not. And Cynthia, I appreciate what she's done but again, I don't care about the person, it's the position. And the three positions that we have their salaries have been cut and cut and cut. How do we make this feasible look for people in the community that's gonna come in and serve? Because I've talked to other townships, and there's no way that people will work for what they're doing here. They're just not gonna do
I know.
it. And I've talked to 6 other townships within our area, and I've talked to kids in political science fields. They won't work for part-time for these fees unless it's internship for something. So again, the positions are elected positions. Based on them being elected positions, you've dropped the salaries tremendously. It used to be 80,000, now they're 50,000.
Or
The
30,000.
30,000.
30,000.
30,000. I must tell you, no, this is not corporate America, but you just don't do this type of thing without understanding that you're not going to get, may or may not get qualified applicants for the positions. And to me, the most important thing as a trustee, I believe, and we're setting salaries, is to set a salary and commensurate to what we think the job should entail. Whether they do the job full-time or part-time, that's their elected ability to do that job. We should not, we can dictate, everybody up here is correct, we can dictate what the salaries are, but the salaries should be a sense of getting people interested. Now, if you want to leave the trustee position at 0, I think that's wrong, but that's okay, because I enjoy doing it. But the other positions, to cut their salaries, I believe, and I'm just going to say this, our highway commissioner has a lot of expertise. And the other guy got some experience the last time he ran. If he doesn't run, what are we going to do when the next person comes? Mrs. Bianca, she has the certification for her position. If you don't have the certification, you can't even run for the position. And how can we continually drop salaries based on what these people have to do? And the position in which she's in charge of has people that several months they have little things, not that they're not doing anything, but several months they have little jobs to do, and doing the assessment time, they're extremely busy. I understand that. But to take the positions down to these amounts, and then I just think it's not right based on, it should not be based on the person. It should be based on the position.
And the expectation
And the
that the people
expectation
do the
from the
job.
Can I ask you a point of order? Is it possible to vote on these each individually, or do we have to vote on them as a group?
Generally, it is just one resolution.
Correct.
For a total amount? Or we
No,
go
for these-
through and
For each-
say
no,
this,
for each
this,
of the
this,
offices.
this,
Yeah.
So-
I,
It's like it is here.
So when you say generally, does that preclude us from doing each of these
You know,
positions individually?
Then
I
I
mean,
can't vote on
basically, the statute says that you are to set the salaries, and, basically, if you wanted to, what's gonna be important is that you have a 3 votes to approve each of the salaries. And at the end, it should be incorporated whether you, as part of the discussion, get a consensus as to whether you have enough votes, and then wrap it into the ultimate resolution. And actually, I've prepared a resolution that has blanks, so that once you feel that you have enough votes to pass that resolution
make a
as
resolution.
constituted, then someone should read in that motion, filling in those numbers.
Okay.
And then you should have, then you will need to have a roll call vote on that.
Right.
Okay.
So your
All right, so we have to
discussions
fill it in and then
certainly-
roll call it.
You've begun the discussions of the positions, and so you can continue that, because it does sound as if you're very close on some of these, some of these numbers, from what the supervisors proposed and at least 2 of the trustees.
Yeah, so I guess nobody wants to go first.
No, that's not
I'll
so.
make the motion.
Okay.
Do I have to read the entire whereas?
No,
No,
all you
just
have
the
to do
numbers.
is fill in the blanks so that, you know, that there's an understanding as to what the salaries are per position.
I move that the supervisor move to a $25,000 a year position. The town clerk moves to $3,000 a year. The assessor moves to $30,000 a year. Highway commissioner, $25,000 a year, and the trustees remain unpaid.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so it has been moved and seconded that we adopt this new salary schedule. Is there any further discussion? We have a motion on the floor. We have to vote on it. Any further discussion?
So Brian, I cannot excuse myself, I vote. Because it's all at the same time.
Yeah, it's generally
That's
the
fine,
same.
okay,
same resolution.
just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so,
We have a roll call.
roll call.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Kerr.
Aye.
Trustee Yasharian.
Aye.
Trustee January.
No.
Supervisor Maloney.
Aye. So the motion carries. So we have set our salaries for next year. The supervisor will be receiving $25,000. The clerk will be receiving $3,000. The assessor will be receiving $30,000. The highway commissioner will receive $25,000, and the trustees' positions will be unpaid. And that's it. We have accomplished our
Thank
goal.
you.
All right, township reports. Any trustees' reports?
May I just say really quickly that the paper drive starts at LBES. I know you've all been waiting for this information. On Monday, and we'll run through Friday. I will be bringing, or we, myself included, will be bringing everything over on Tuesday the 1st.
Okay, highway commissioner, do you have anything to say?
Not really. We're expecting the contractor to start fairly soon on the paving project, hopefully very soon, because the weather is going to turn. We probably have about 5 weeks left. At the time, they have about a 1-week job. And that's about it.
Okay, thanks.
Did you order?
Kathy?
I got a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I wanted to
Charles
ask.
has a question of Scott.
Scott,
Oh, yeah.
did we order some more salt, and how much more salt did we get?
We don't have any
Anyway.
room for salt now. We have a lot left over from last year, but we have a contract for salt this year for 100 tons plus or minus 20 tons, which should be plenty to get us through the winter. And I think we're about $50 a ton, somewhere around there. It's a pretty good price.
So what are we gonna do with this stuff that we can't put?
We won't get it until we use some.
Oh, we can't.
Make room and then we'll take it later. We don't have to take it until
Oh,
May.
okay,
of
that's what
next
I'm
year.
thinking we have to
Yeah.
take. Okay, that's all, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I just wanted to say that the staff is finishing up the appeals process. The last scheduled meeting was today, I believe, 20th, yes. And that we're going to purchase new computers for everyone now that we have time to transition. Our computers are
On CN.
like 5 years old. They're pretty old, so just wanted to let you be aware of that.
Okay, thanks.
So
Thank you.
Question for you. The computers that we do have, where are you gonna do it?
We have to donate them because it's, Cynthia could tell you that procedure better than I or Brian. We can't sell them or give them away. We have to go through a process to get rid of them.
So they'll, yeah. I just have a couple things. Sadly, we are losing our clerk. Linnell Collins sent me an email today saying that she's resigning effective November 1st. She's moved out of the township. And I believe that that precludes her from serving as clerk. So she will not be at our next meeting, and we will miss her. The turkey giveaway is in process, and it's going to happen on November 14th. This coming month, November 16th, is our top box delivery in North Chicago. And we are looking at changing that to a Saturday delivery. So if you have any opinions about that, I'd appreciate it if you weigh in, give me a call. We are hosting at our office a case managers and supervisors meeting on October 25th, at which we're going to discuss the book Evicted, which is a really powerful book, and go over best practices in case management. And we'll also have a special presentation by the Zion supervisor, Sherry Neal. Finn Michaelis, the lovely young man, the Boy Scout who built our garden boxes for us, is going to be inducted Sunday as an Eagle Scout, and I just wanted to offer him our congratulations and let you know that that was happening. And that is all. I just go Cubs. Let's. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn if there's any further business.
So moved.
Okay, I have
I
second.
second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.